Hey, this is your girl Ashley Michelle, and I am so excited to be back here in the ladies' room. We are so happy to be here every Tuesday evening at 7:15. We come to you guys, and we have a great show lined up. We have our girl, Mrs. Jobo,
Hey y'all.
looking all Nubian-like today. I love it. Mrs.
Thank you.
Mrs. Understanding.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey,
And
hey.
we have a special guest. Her name is Janelle. Hi, Janelle.
Hey.
Welcome,
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course, I'm so happy to have you, Janelle. Janelle is a part of our Facebook community. Okay, she is visiting us tonight, but she's been a member of the Facebook group, the Ladies Room podcast group chat for a while now, and I just love having you in the group.
Thank you.
So Darwin and Cannon are actually celebrating their 6th wedding anniversary.
Yay! Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I know Cannon's popping in here and there, but Darwin planned a getaway for them. That was actually, I think, a surprise. So she called me. She texted me earlier, like, so Darwin, he planned for us to be out of town, and so yeah, she's enjoying, her husband right now. So you all have fun. I'm pretty sure she's gonna be stopping in to say hey and see what we up to. All right, y'all. Y'all good?
Yes.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know, this is the ladies' room, and we talk about everything pertaining to women, dating, love and relationships, marriage, family and children. We talk about mental health. We talk about societal issues. We talk about so many different things. All right. It's real ladies, real talk by real ladies. All right. And our first topic for today. All right. Why would a man think a higher earning woman is less attractive? And the reason why I thought of this question is because of a recently surfacing not interview, but video of a man who has some very interesting opinions about women who make a certain amount of money or who are just successful in their own right. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. And you guys tell me what you think.
A good job. I make very, very good money. And she says the only thing I need now is a man. It's like, yo, it's like who wants you? Who wants you? You're right. Like once you have achieved these things, you have unfortunately disqualified yourself.
Ooh, and shit.
And what it is these and this is the thing. I'm not
blaming
women.
The women are gonna hate him for that shit. They are gonna hate him for that.
They should.
All right. So I thought that was very interesting.
Is this real?
Yes. That's your first time seeing
it? Saw how they were hyping each other. Singing it, but I never played it.
It's real, girl. It's real.
They're gonna hate you for this one. You heard that? That's real talk.
But I'm like, no, we're not gonna hate you. We're just gonna think you're cool, like, and not have any respect for you. Like, it's just kind of crazy. And I mean, we are gonna dissect that. Okay, I understand. I can sense a lot of men like, well, she don't need a man, so why would you know what I mean? I could picture them going that route. But I want to hear what you guys got to say. What are your thoughts? Who wants to go first?
It's a hot mess. Okay. Why would a man think a high earning? Sorry, that was some furniture falling. I have a business on the side. Anyway, why would a man think a higher earning woman is less attractive? I think attractive is such a odd word to use. No shade or anything like that. But just because you don't know how much a woman is earning when you're looking at her, that was the whole average at best argument, right? The whole, oh, well, when we look at you, we don't know how much you're making. So now all of a sudden it does factor into it. But nevertheless, I think this is one of those things that shoot men in the foot again, because if a paycheck is too much, is enough to scoot a man out the house, then you can't be mad when a woman looks at you as just a paycheck, because your whole argument is, oh, I can't be with you because you have a paycheck, you have all these things, you don't need a man anymore. Okay, so then if she only looks to you for all these things, then don't look for her to have any humanity for you. Don't look for any type of grace, any laying on your lap, talking to me at night. No, you're an ATM. Okay, that's what you bring, that's what you are. If not, then we can have a conversation, but it can't be both. It can't be, oh, well, if she got too much money, she don't need a man, but also men are more than their wallet. It's more circular rhetoric that it just leads nowhere. It's pointless.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? What do you think, Joel?
I mean, I'm with Raven. I mean, I think that on one hand, you have men who, we're tired of being sponsors, we're tired of financing women, but then you have a woman who's capable of financially providing for herself, and all of a sudden now she's not qualified for the dating pool. She's reached the limit, or she can't find anybody because of her success. I think it has more to do how they see themselves. Like, I think it's, I'm not enough, and deep down inside, I know that. So, you know what? I'm going to make her feel like, or I'm going to, state, oh, well, you're too successful. So now, and now you're outshining me. Like, it's just another dead end conversation that they use to avoid their own personal accountability for them being accountable for their own lives. Like I'm getting tired of these conversations about, men complaining about women do this, women do that. And it's like all the things that you're saying that we're doing, you're capable of doing these things yourself. You're capable of being financially successful for yourself. Why do you have to, put a dig in me or make a comment like I'm never gonna find anybody because I'm financially successful or I'm professionally successful? Like, that says more about you than it does about the woman. Like, really, come on. Like, exactly what Raven said. Just more of that rhetoric and more of that just chasing. It's like a dog chasing its tail. I don't want to be your sponsor. I don't want to have everything on me. You need to help me build. But then she has more than enough to help you build. Now she's too successful. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Because they like boys.
No.
The men gonna hate her for that.
I'm just kidding. I know, right? I'm just trolling, guys. Jeez.
Raven likes to do that.
How honest can I be on here?
Be very honest, please.
This is the ladies' room. You're in a safe space.
Okay, great. So, how many of these cornballs are gonna get a podcast? Like,
too many.
And this is a problem. It's too many of these type of guys who have such a larger voice now, in which they didn't have a voice pre-Kevin Samuels. And these type of topics are so offensive, because what if my accomplishments were so important to me? Like, I think for a lot of us, we are the first in our families to graduate from college, right?
Okay.
So then for you to turn around and tell me I'm disqualified for getting into a relationship because of the hard work that I put into my life? Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Like, and I just, it's these topics disgust me, because it's continuing to divide us as a community. We should be in the mindset of family. These are the types of conversations that we need to be having in the Black community, because I firmly believe that Black love is really going to get us through these trying times right now, right? But then you have all of these Kevin Samuelites, because that's what I call them, who now have a voice, who now have YouTube channels, and you're not saying anything that's helping us. So
No.
I'm so offended. I have not listened to that clip, and I'm really trying to avoid these women bashing podcasts. I really am, but they're everywhere now.
Mm-hmm. They are. And I know that a lot of people in my life who know me and know who I am are like, well, Ashley, why do you care? Like, you don't have to care about what these men think, and you don't even want those type of men. And that is very true. But at the same time, I understand what this rhetoric does to us as a people and what it's doing to men and how it's affecting the way they interact with women and vice versa. It's not helpful. And as a single woman, I feel invested in it. It's like, I know I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to have these conversations with these men in these groups. And I've learned which conversations to take on and participate in, and which ones not to. But it's like, we have to start debunking some of these things and addressing some of these things, getting to the root of it, because these men are passing on these thoughts and they're co-signing these toxic thoughts and these unproductive ways of thinking on to each other. And it's like reiterating things and making them think that, oh, this is right, this makes sense, and then they're passing it on to younger generations. So it's very important for me to talk about. And it's just sad. Like, Janelle, I love what you said. You said it wonderfully. It's interesting that, as a Black woman, my success is seen as a negative, and I'm going to bring this up a little later, but LinkedIn made a post in honor of Women's History Month, right, which is this month. And several of the women, not all of them, but several of the women were Black women. And they all had some type of profession. That's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is all about professions, right?
Right.
And so they were showing women who were successful in their own rights. And there was just so much negativity. And I'm going to show this to you guys, that there are a lot of men on the post that were like, well, what about family? And I'm sick of Black women, promoting single motherhood. And, I'm sick of them promoting this image that they don't need a man. And I'm like, what? And what was so interesting is that every single one of those women are married. Every single one.
Right.
And, it was just,
right.
I'm just like, I can't fathom why, as a Black woman, for myself, who grew up on the west side of Chicago, in the 80s, cannot be celebrated for being successful, or going after a career. Think about where our parents came from. Some of them were just out of like civil rights movement, fighting to get certain jobs, so of course they, my mom, she do sharecroppers, like she saw the Deep South, when it was like, when one of the most racist, dangerous places to be for a Black person. And she spread these things into me, including my grandfather, who died when I was very young, but from, he wanted me to be successful. You know what I mean? He wanted me to go on and fulfill dreams that they didn't have a chance to. And so now you have generations of Black women who are doing that. And the brothers are like acting like this is such a horrible thing. And it's just, it's really disheartening. And it just makes no sense to me.
But
and the scary part is there's a man right now working for a college fund for a daughter or a son, but a daughter that he wants to put through school. And we get sent the message by the men in our family, get your education. Yeah. And then you turn a certain age and it's like, what you gonna do with all that book knowledge? You know, what how many jobs you got now?
Yeah.
That's really high up on the totem pole. How are you dealing with that? I've said it before in another show. It's like, when are we gonna be able to just really win in our community and have the backing of our community without all of these conditions and stipulations? You can be successful, but you can't be this level of success. And you can have kids, but you got to have them this way, you know, and you can wear your natural hair in corporate America, but it's got to look this way. And you, all these different, every show, what do I say? The 204,000 things that a Black woman in that rule book that she has to do. Rule number 204,000. Don't make more money than your man. Like, it's just so much to keep up with. And it's like, why? Why can't you guys take this as a kind of a cue to evolve and really promote success throughout our whole community, instead of just pick, and you're too successful, or I can't marry you, you make more money than me? That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Janelle, what were you going to add to that?
I was going to say that, honestly, a lot of this is rooted in the fact that in the Black community, we raise our daughters, but we take care of our sons. That's the source of a lot of this right there. These men are not pushed to do the things that we are pushed to do. I'm the oldest of 7. I learned how to cook. I learned how to take care of a house. I learned responsibility at a very young age. While the men in my family were allowed to do what they wanted to do. It just really didn't matter at all. And so a lot of these guys become adults, and they're pushing this rhetoric that we're talking about right now. Why are you all upset at the fact that our parents raised us differently? How are you all not seeing this? This is crazy.
Like, why is it a negative? And I understand, to be fair, right? There are some women who think that their degrees or their professional status makes them wife worthy. I don't know how y'all feel about that expression, but I hope you understand what I mean. I think that there are women out here who wear it like, a badge of entitlement. There are women who boast about their successes, and now I think that we should be proud of our successes and let people know.
But do you know these women personally, though?
I don't. But I'm not saying that it doesn't. I would assume that there are some out there, and I've seen it by.
But they make it seem like we lead with that. They make it seem like we lead with these things.
It honestly depends on the conversation, because today is we're too powerful. On Tuesday, we're welfare queens. It really just depends on for real. It depends on when we're having. I can't. That's why I said it's a circular rhetoric. If we talk about something else, all of a sudden, all y'all want to do is lay up on a Pookie and Ray Ray. So which one is it? Either we're getting degrees or we're laying up on a Pookie and Ray Ray. It can't be simultaneous. I can't take it.
One week they were celebrating Rihanna for all these business moves she's making and being the $1 billion Black woman. Now, she just like the rest of them. Now she's pregnant out of wedlock. Exactly. And it's just like, out of everything you can talk about with this young lady who has broken down so many barriers, and think about where she's from, the population. She's an island girl, it's like this big where she's from. And she has been able to just break down barriers for not just the Black community, but just with her music, her business, all different types of women of all different types of shades and colors. And the one thing that you're gonna nitpick about her is, she pregnant out of wedlock. Like you signing Rihanna's welfare checks. Like,
all that means is that she doesn't have
she got the means to take care of her own child.
Exactly.
And I think that's the problem. Like, I tell people this all the time in therapy. Whenever you start worrying about things that are not within your control, worrying about things that really have nothing to do with you, you are deflecting from where the real work needs to begin. And that's with you. You see something in that person that you want, but instead of just saying that,
yeah,
it's something wrong with your success.
And see, that's why I wanted to piggyback off what you said about picking. It's kind of like the pickup artists do the whole, oh, we're going to bring her self-esteem down. We're going to neg her, whatever the case is. That's why I say on Tuesday, we're welfare queens. On Mondays, we're boss bitches. So it's just whatever they have to say to get the most coochie at that moment. That's all. I'm serious. Okay, so when I joined this specific group that shall not be named, I was very down for, you call me a pick me. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I was very down for Black men being in leadership. And then I met these Kevin Samuelites, and I was like, oh, y'all niggas for real. Oh, y'all exist. Because I thought, I'm so sorry, cousin. I know you might not, whatever. I only have like one cousin like that, and I pick on him all the time. I have no shame because he goes with, oh, Black women ain't this. Everybody in my family is married to beautiful Black men, take care of the kids. How are you talking about Black women are trash when all these Black women around you? My grandmother had like 6 daughters. All these Black women with children. How are you talking about Black women welfare queens and baby mamas? That's not even your reality. Nevertheless, I thought it was just him.
It's a whole community. It's a whole community.
It's like
a whole community of
this is ridiculous.
A whole community of common denominators. Yes. And the common denominator is I am the guy who has not yet married. I am the guy who has not had a successful long-term relationship.
He went to the Philippines and still couldn't bag him.
It's one more piece to that, honey.
It's one more
piece. They are the guys who were rejected by a woman that they really wanted to be with. And that woman ended up with a Pookie or a Ray Ray or whoever. He don't even have to be
exactly.
And that's why they cannot stand single mothers, because at one point they wanted a woman who is now a single mother. So it's like, be honest about the level of trauma you've been through when it comes with dating, and then we can address that.
Exactly.
But see, my thing is the trauma is like from 5th grade. If you ever sat down with these men, because like I said, I thought it was just my cousin. So I've been giving them, let me give you benefit of the doubt. Oh yeah, this heifer from 6th grade called me a burnt. That's it? 6th grade? You need to go have a seat in the corner. This is not it.
No.
40 years old. I can't take it.
But when your ego is fragile, right?
Yes.
You can remember something from the 4th, 5th grade.
Exactly.
I don't remember anything from back then.
And I won't say it's not trauma, but it just strikes me as odd because
it is trauma.
And exactly, they will hold that one heartbreak from a woman and get beat up by 15 dudes their whole life. I got jumped by 5 men, but I trust Black men. And which one is it? And these dudes done beat you up all up and down Southside, but this one girl makes you hate all Black women. I can't take it. I can't. And then I can't.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and it's just going back to what you all said about the childhood trauma. I'm always reminding people too that you're holding people accountable who, at the time, even yourself or them, their brain wasn't fully developed to even make effective decisions in their life. Like, when you gonna unpack that and just realize that, instead of you,
they don't need therapy.
Instead of you doing like, I saw somebody do online the other day, just happy that somebody he used to date is divorced with kids now. And it's like, why are you glorifying that? Like, why are you finding joy in somebody else's misery or pain or difficulty right now? I'm going to tell you why. It's not that she messed up. It's that you're not really a happy person. Whenever you have to criticize like 24/7 and you're really just breaking down just about everything you come in contact with, that says more about you as a person than it does the Black community. It says more about, y'all know where I'm about to go with this. The whole slavery mentality. They utterly and completely studied ways to really break us down psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, until we started becoming you got external slaves, the external part where you're doing the work, and then you got that internal mentality that they were able to tap into. That's why slavery lasted so long. One of the reasons why anyway. And so I just look at these guys as they're almost a slave to the Samuelite. They're almost a slave to themselves. They just
So is this why Kanye said slavery was a choice? Because I can't.
I guess they choose it, Raven. I guess they choose it.
I can't with this perpetual victimhood. I can't do it.
It's crazy.
Somebody's making a choice. Is that mine?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got cut off, y'all. But what I was saying is kind of like what you were getting at, Janelle, which was, their angle or the claim is that a lot of women, Black women specifically, become arrogant or act like we don't need a man once we get a job or a high paying job or a decent career. They attach all these negative things and kind of put it back on us and make it seem like, oh, well, we don't want those women because they are, too high and mighty or they think they're better than they are. But the truth of the matter is most of us are not that way. I think that is the tactic to try to, continue to push this narrative that, a successful Black woman is just so horrible, or that's anti-family. When every single college educated, successful, and or high paying Black woman that I know want to be married, and some of them are married, and many of them are married with children, and they are juggling it all. You know what I mean? So it's just like a successful Black woman is not equivalent to, single and anti-family or anti, white. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can have both, but the narrative, because of what Janelle was talking about, a lot of our boys weren't encouraged and pushed like we were to do certain things. So now it's like, okay, wait a minute. I have to figure out some type of tactic, to put it, to make this a negative thing about not me, but about, Black women. So, yeah. I didn't articulate that as well as I wanted to, but I hope you guys
have
are
a
getting
question.
the point that I'm making.
Do you think that a lot of Black women are bringing these power dynamics that they have at work, they're bringing it home? Because I do recognize that how our friends are when it's one-on-one, when it's a group of women, is very different from how that woman is at home with that man. And maybe there's something that us as women are not seeing that other women are doing, and we probably will never be privy to it. But I think that there is some belief. I do have some belief that some women think that they are the boss of that household, and that's why we keep having these conversations. So, and if that's the case, and I want to bring up an example. A friend of mine told me that he was dating this girl, and she put him on a PIP. Do you all know what a PIP is? So in corporate America, a PIP is a performance improvement plan. So it's like a 6 to 8 month plan in which you have a set of goals that you have to achieve by a specific deadline. And if you don't meet those goals, you get fired. And this is like the warning in corporate America that you get before they, can you or whatever. So this Black woman put her boyfriend on a PIP. And when I heard this, I'm like, what? Like she bringing work home? Like you can't do that, right? But it is a possibility that those dynamics are appearing in these households. And that's why these guys are having these conversations. And if that's the case, us as women, we have to hold other women accountable to make sure that they're not doing that. Go ahead.
Now, sorry, mother.
Go ahead, Reagan.
I've been nanny. I've been a nanny for like 10 some odd years. This will be my first year not nanny. So y'all pray for me. But what I will say is a lot of times I work for, I guess, power couples, women that have high careers, they don't want to give it up, they want to work hard. And what she said about the PIP is very similar to the dynamic that I have seen where women are just like, you said 50-50, the baby go down, and I'm just like, you have a whole schedule. You weren't playing, ma'am. Okay. But to be fair, those men like those women when they first got with them because, they'll complain, they'll complain to everybody. Oh, she too aggressive. She too this. Did she change? No, but I thought she would stop. You thought wrong, sir. That is who that woman was. She was a go-getter. She was an aggressive woman. There are so many women that are not like that, but if you like it, I love it. But you can't pick that woman, be with her for years, then have her put a baby in, and all of a sudden want her to fall in line and be somebody she's not. If you want her to change, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, you pick the bull, you got the bull. There are some women that are bullheaded, just like there are men that are like that. I've seen men that actually enjoy being picked. Like I said, you like it, I love it, man. I don't know what to tell you. She don't get to switch it up in the middle of the marriage. You can go to wrestling, but
yeah. And well, so here's the thing. I do think that, that happens. That happens a lot. And I think some men know that happens. And that's why they're like super cautious about, dating and marrying women who make more than them. They automatically assume that she's going to act like she's like better than him. And I think that does happen. And I think that's why I also wanted to be fair, and say like, yeah, there are women who are like that. But I think we have to make sure we are, being, I would say, not just fair, but being true to everything that is at play here, because while there are women who are like that, there are a lot of men, and I've seen this, I've witnessed this. There are men who, because of whatever insecurities they have, that will say these things about their women or the women of their past when it was really them. Like you stay with a woman for 7 years and you all broke up. Oh, so now it was a problem that she thought she was better, but that wasn't the problem before. It's like, I think sometimes there's a little bit of insecurity there or a little bit of resentment about how the relationship ended, and then it's portrayed as, oh, well, she thought she was better then.
Maybe that man always felt that way, but I think men do a fantastic job of internalizing their feelings and never really expressing it until it's like a volcano and it erupts. Right? Therapy, and I mean, right? Miss Jovo, you can chime in because you counsel these guys, but they don't talk.
You led to my next point, Janelle. Like, you hit the nail on the head. Internalizing, and then there's less communication. Like, that's very interesting that you said that, Janelle, because I went to college and went to school, high school. I come from a community of like either teachers, educators, or retired teachers. That my hometown is full of them, retired school administrators, teachers. And now you have me thinking, when I'm looking at the structures of different relationships and marriages, are the teachers bringing the classroom home? Are they bringing that structure into marriage? Obviously, I think if a teacher can bring that structure into maybe how they parent their child, it's not impossible for that teacher to put it in the structure of their relationship or their marriage. Yeah. And then, just like Raven said, people start assuming, and then men start internalizing. Okay, she going back to work. He gonna find a way to figure out, okay, this is about me not doing this or me doing that, or just I'm not gonna say anything, or just kind of this passive aggressiveness, and then that's when the breakdown of communication comes in. Nobody's communicating, everybody's making assumptions, and then the biggest thing, and I say this a lot too, not managing expectations. Like, you knew this person when y'all were dating, but see, that's the thing. That's that phase, that kind of that filter that people put over their faces when you're dating. Like, oh, it's gonna be like this forever, and it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. Expectations change.
But I will say this though, and I noticed it in myself personally. Yeah. As I've escalated up the corporate ladder, I've become a lot more vocal than I have, especially now more than ever. I used to be very passive, very quiet, do my work, whatever. And I've gotten, larger roles over time. And now all I do is talk now, right? And so I think that we have to also remember that there is an evolution that takes place with people as they go through their careers, as they go through their businesses. And I think who you are at the beginning of that relationship can shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is your partner prepared to adjust to the new you? So we have to also introduce that dynamic as well. I do think that a lot of these women become, and I don't want to say monsters, but some of these women do become monsters. And I think that the men are trying to say this, right? But we're attacking them. So, to Ashley's point, we have to be fair. We have to recognize that everything that they're saying is not a lie. It's some truth to it. I think that we just don't personally witness it. And that's where I struggle.
Yeah. But I think that what's important, I'm sorry, Ray, 1 second. I think what's important though is for everybody, men and women, we talk about women doing this, but I think men need to do it too, that when they have encountered this woman that is that way, that they do not, start to paint a broad stroke and say, okay, this is just how Black women are, or this is how women are, American women are, or young women are, or, whatever. A lot of times we'll see it. And I think what's happening is they may have experienced it once. Maybe they experienced it more than once, but that becomes the representation in their minds of women. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's so many, women who are not that way. And I'm like, because of that bad experience, you now have that association between women and this type of behavior. Does that make sense? Like, mm-hmm. And so we have to check our traumas. We have to deal with our traumas, because what's happening is now people are just kind of projecting all of that off onto other people. And then a man will hear, oh yeah, my girl was like that too. And maybe his girl wasn't even like that, but he is the one who feels insecure about it. And so now, you have this ripple effect. And to me, it's like an issue that is an issue that needs to be addressed. It's becoming like the standard, or like the representation. And it's like, I just don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true that, every woman, or even most who have achieved a certain amount of success are just these monsters, like I don't know how.
I don't think it's every woman, but I do think that a lot of women who are in powerful positions are bringing that behavior home.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying every, but it's happening.
You think that it happens a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Understanding, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I wanna highlight that I don't think it's necessarily about a position or a certain income level or anything like that. Sometimes I think that women as wives, whatnot, we can be condescending. And it may not, because I've met women that are psychologists and they don't make more than a man, but they sure will psychoanalyze them in a whole day. Okay. And everything you do right there, that's a projection. And she doesn't have to make more. Sometimes we could just be condescending. And that could be us not checking our trauma from seeing, boys skate by through life and we're doing double the work and things like that. So I do, like you said, I think we have to give them some leeway. There are women that are monsters. There are women that are condescending, eat with or without a paycheck. So all this, would a woman earn more? No, because like what Miss Jovo said about teachers, I've seen women who teach like first grade go home and baby their husband, and it made me want to sit them down in a chair. So I don't know how them men do it, because sheesh, make you want to smoke a strong one.
I'm gonna say this though. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I think a lot of times some of these guys, just like Janelle said in the beginning, they came from these environments where they were taken care of, but they were not necessarily raised. And then there's that assumption, there's that word again, or that expectation that, okay, I saw my mama do this, or my mama did this, that, and the third for me, or I saw my auntie or grandma do this. They nurtured, because that community likes to use that word a lot. They nurtured and took care of me. But then it's like, now I want you to be superwoman, but you can't be too super, Like you can be Superwoman, but you can't fly too far, or you can't be too powerful. Like it's too confusing. And so I think I'm gonna push a little bit. Like if men want to see change and evolution in these relationships, they need to become just as vocal as some of these women have in terms of what they expect out of the men. The men need to be vocal and they need to be assertive in communicating what they need in a relationship, not passive aggressive, not shaming, not blaming, none of these other defense mechanisms that they use to really dance around their personal issues and not just be and things that they do to avoid being direct. Like just say what you mean and mean what you say and say exactly what you want at home. Like, what's the biggest thing that some people fear, but again, just like Janelle said before, these are men too who have been rejected. So, and that circles back around to deal with your personal issues as it relates to rejection. If you're in a relationship, an adult relationship, grow up, start learning how to assert yourself and share what you need out of the relationship. Because I think a lot of times men jump into these situations with us and they assume we're going to be nurturing. They assume we're going to be doing all the housework. They assume they think that we're going to be caring for all the children. And I'm telling you, we just need to push them to be assertive and just say, hey, what do you need from me? I tell everybody all the time, like being married 18 years, the biggest thing that has helped my marriage is the fact that we talk. And we're going to talk about when changes happen in our house, we have to adjust our expectations on what we expect each other to do. There is no mind reading anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
So just like dude need to deal with the trauma for being rejected by Keisha in the 5th grade, he need to expect that, you know what, our relationship and marriage is going to evolve. We probably need to talk about that and what that's going to look like.
Miss Jovo, when did you become a safe space to your husband?
Janelle, 1 second. I love that question, but I did want to say, I just wanted to shout out some people in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. I see some very interesting comments. Dara says, I've witnessed it, but generalizing isn't okay. And Cannon, she's actually going to pop in. She says it's more acceptable than for men to bring it home. I believe she's talking about, money. Women have to make themselves smaller and serve as a male ego. And hey, girl, hey, Tawana. All right, Candace's gonna speak on that a little bit later. But I think what she's talking about is some of those societal pressures and the constructions that we have on men versus women and our roles in society. A lot of times men are expected to be the breadwinners, right? And so when they aren't, then there's a little bit of insecurity that may be at play there. All right. But go ahead, Janelle. You had a really good question.
No, I wanted to ask Ms. Jovo, when did you become a safe space for your husband? Because you talked about him being able to express how he felt. And I think that that's so hard for men to have that level of honesty. And I know that sometimes in a marriage that isn't established at the beginning, right? Like that comes over time. So at what year did you know you were a safe space for him?
Let me do the math. Because I can literally pinpoint and tell you. So probably when my daughter was, I think we were married for like probably 7-8 years when we really started being assertive with each other. And that's when the marriage counseling kicked in, And sidebar, if you married and never been to marriage counseling, make an appointment. It's not about fixing what's not broken. Marriage counseling is like tune-ups for your cars. You need them. Every car on the road need a tune-up, even a Tesla. So, so I highly recommend it. We learn how to be assertive and not just you did this, you did that, you did this and this. We were evolving because we were new parents, and for so long it was just the two of us. So then when baby girl came along, it's like, okay, I'm getting up at 3:00 in the morning with these bottles. Okay, now we had a conversation when I was pregnant. Let's do some teamwork. And it was just like, well, babe, I'm working, and I'm like, flag on the play. We need some help in mediating this. And people need to be people don't need to be afraid to say that. Like, okay, my relationship is going through a transition. I need to know how to communicate with my man or my woman about how we're going to get through this. Like, women, and I hate to say it this way, but I got to just say what's on my mind. Like, that again, the expectation of Black women. Like, we like the glue that hold the puzzle pieces together for some of these guys, especially if he was that guy who grew up in the single parent home where it was just mom and mom did everything. Don't matter who mom was dating, who she was married to. He saw mom do everything. So then you think some men actually walk into a relationship and think they're gonna, that they're going to their wife will emulate that. And like I'm gonna be totally transparent and honest with you, Janelle. Like, it was like 7-8 years into marriage until we learn how to truly communicate with each other. Like, being assertive. Yes, and understand that the vulnerability is us saying we on the same team versus, a versus battle. Of, battle of the sexes. Because I think a lot of young marriages, I mean, I was 23 when I got married. We go into it, oh, I love you, but then it's like, but I'm a girl and you're a boy, who gonna win? And it was like that for me for a while. Like, I had to really comprehend, understand that we needed to be on the same page, and the only way we're gonna do that is if we learn how to talk to each other and not at each other.
And so, Janelle, I think you asked that question because Jovo was talking about how she thinks men should be more vocal in what they want in their relationships. But it's important that women are receptive to it, right?
Right.
And that they respond, receptive and respond, right? Receptive and responsive, I should say, to what men are saying. Because obviously, if you're in a relationship with somebody and, you are condescending, or you are somebody who boasts of your accomplishments, or you have a very arrogant attitude, then nobody's going to want to deal with that. Not just your partner. Nobody wants to be around somebody like that. So if you have a husband or a boyfriend who's telling you these things, then you have to also be receptive. Is that why you were asking that question, Janelle?
Ashley, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I think that I've personally witnessed situations where the woman minimized that man when he said something. He literally expressed how he felt, and she was like, boy, going somewhere, you ain't talking about nothing. That's not. And it's like you don't see he's trying to express his heart to you, and you're just dismissing him, right? And so I think that as women, we have to get to a place where we're becoming easy to talk to and not just projecting how we feel all the time. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, it was work. And that's the other thing, like, learning how to communicate effectively, it takes work. And then it takes you being able to say, I have a hard time saying this, or I have a hard time expressing that. It really, I mean, honestly, like I said, I'm pro marriage counseling. Like, do it at least one time, and then you're gonna want to go back. You are. I'm telling you, you're gonna want to go back.
All right, Candy wanted to add something to this conversation. Hey, girl, how are you?
Hey, ladies, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
loud and clear.
Y'all are like talking of some good stuff tonight. Having some good conversations. I just but the main thing that I just kind of wanted to point out, right, is that whenever I discuss some of the overarching, ideas of like how we interact with each other as far as like patriarchal society demands, to your point, Janelle, everything that I'm saying still ends up going back to those like gender stereotypes and those gender roles, right? Women internalize those messages just as much as men do, but it's still rooted in the same thing, right? So it's like once we start addressing those things, like that's how you get where a woman may be more dismissive of a man's feelings, because what is everybody always told? What do men say out there? Oh man, what do everybody say? Men don't do all that feelings. Women are the ones with feelings. We logical. We don't do that. Da, da, da. You know what I mean? So it's like it just continues to reinforce the same shenanigans, right? It's coming from all the same place. But the point that I feel like gets lost in a lot of these conversations is that if you look at, and I'm not saying how I feel or what I think, right? I'm talking about based on empirical data that exists. Every measure, every time they actually study this and look into it, they come to the conclusion that women, because of gender roles and all of that, are the ones who end up doing the bulk of the emotional labor in relationships because that's what's expected, right? So you have that. They also are the ones who are doing the bulk of the child rearing and the domestic duties because that's the expectation. But then you also have a weird dichotomy, which I think you guys are kind of speaking to, is that at this point we're in 2022. So women are also doing the same providing that men are supposed to be doing, right? Or that men have been doing. So women also have their careers, they have all of that stuff, but then they still have that same level of responsibility that they had before they were doing the providing or having the work or the job or whatever. So they just have more responsibility. Like if you can run down to me and be like, okay, like what do men always say they're responsible for? Providing and protecting. And then, okay, I say the providing part. We get that. We understand what that means. That means you're paying bills. Okay, I understand that. Fine. The protecting part. When you get to talking into protecting, it's all of these weird, things that's really kind of ill-defined. Like, no, what are you actually doing? Give me a rundown of the stuff that you're doing, right? And it's not really distinct stuff that you can clearly be like, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Like if you ask a woman, like, no, what are you doing? They like, I take the children to school, or I take the kids to the doctor, or I'm making sure the bill actually got paid, whether I'm paying it with the money I made or with it. I'm still the one who's wrangling everything. You know what I mean? And organizing everything and doing a lot of that stuff. So it's like, when we really think about it, what is the expectation from them in these relationships and in this household? What are they supposed to do? Go to work, come home, play with the kids,
and
go
drink a
start watching
beer.
sports and be left alone. And you got to be, and that's what kind of frustrates me about the peace conversation, right? Because it's still rooted in these gender ideas that that a woman is like the nurturer that just nurtures everybody. And so you
Right.
going to work, you coming home, you taking care of kids, you wrangling all of this stuff. And who is your peace? Where's your, I don't understand. Like, so then you got to somehow be this demure Mrs. Fix It for everybody, and just this, like you said, like I think in relationships people should be safe spaces for each other and things. It shouldn't just be, like I said, the bulk of the emotional labor shouldn't just fall on the woman. Like it's not humanly possible. Like I feel like that's what a lot of the problem comes in at, because it's just too much expectations. It's like we have to change. It's like as much as we've changed as far as like technology and things like that, which have allowed us to kind of engage in the world differently, our mindsets are still like from 500 years ago. Like it's not adding up. Like it's like that's what's causing the problem. And I think I saw on another show somebody alluded to a study that had come out a while back that was like, yeah, because women are so much, they're unhappier than they were before. And then it's like, yeah, but it's like, did you look at the reasons? It didn't say that they're unhappier because they don't get to be stay-at-home mom, which again, Black women never did that, but whatever. It's not saying that they're unhappier now than they were before because they don't get to be stay-at-home moms. It's saying that they're unhappier now because not only do they get to go their careers and all that, but then they still got to do all the other stuff on their own, or most of it, without having a fair kind of equal partnership and an equal expectation. It's like a lot of stuff just automatically falls to them. Like they're
millennial dads are a lot more
like they're
active.
the ones a lot of times that's keeping and managing the relationships of the whole family, like making sure they're remembering people's birthdays. And I mean, just it's a lot of stuff that is not sometimes quantifiable, but it's massive. And that's where I think what I was saying is that I do think that Janelle is right. And I do think that the reality is that a lot of the perception will be, oh, this woman, when they get successful, now they got this attitude and wouldn't you have an attitude if you out here, you killing the game, providing, doing all of this stuff, then you got to come home and do everything in the house too, just like that. And then you also got to do the bulk of the emotional labor. And then this
I
person
think
just
a
like,
lot of
I
men
went to
would
work
say,
today.
well, that's
Okay, take care of me. Be my peace now. Like what? Like hold on. It's a lot of other stuff that got to happen around here, right? So I'm not saying that that's the example for every time that happens, but I do think that that's a big part. I think it's like we got to rethink this whole thing and all these expectations, because I feel like that's where the frustration is coming from, and that's what the problem is. It's like, as long as we just keep being like, women just gotta, you gotta do it. No, that's not the reality that we're living in 2022. Come on, let's learn how to be real, genuine partners and not just make it one person mostly responsible for stuff.
Right.
So
Janelle, what
that's all I wanted to add, y'all.
No, okay. So one thing you all are gonna realize about me, I'm biased to a certain extent because I have a lot of good men in my life, so I'm always advocating for them, right? And so, Cannon, would you not agree that millennial dads are a lot more active in the household than our fathers?
No, they absolutely are, but it's still not enough. Like, if the bar is in hell and then somebody like climb up out of hell a little bit, then I guess that's
that's fair. That is very fair.
It's just like when we have conversations about racism, right? And people be like, "But isn't it much better than it was before?" Yeah, we're not getting lynched every day.
Yeah, but we still have to acknowledge progress.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I think that's important, and I think that we also have to acknowledge the fact that as women, we have to be more vocal around what our expectations of that household. If I don't want to pick up the kids every day, I don't want to drop them off every day, I don't want to cook meals every day. And I think that sometimes as women,
then that's when you become the combative
superwoman mentality,
woman who's not
and
being
we have to stop that.
Well, I think
do you see what I'm saying? That's when you become the woman who's not the peace. You're the
right.
You're always the problem now. You see what I mean?
But see, that's the thing about marriage and partnership. Like it's a blue. You got to have a game plan. Like I said, that whole mentality that we're on the same team. So it's like team mentality works great at my house because it's just like, okay, like for instance, like right now, my husband's a mechanic. He flips a lot of cars this time of the year. Like he works a lot of long hours. So normally he would pick our daughter up after school, but then there's going to be some days and times where I'm going to have to pick her up now. And then there are going to be days and times where I'm not able to, cook dinner like tonight, like Tuesday night, like I can't cook a full meal because I'm on a show. So it's like, okay, what can we do as a team to make sure everybody got dinner, right? And so everybody and now we included my daughter in the conversation because that's how our family is. We're a team. We're here to take care of each other, not to kind of glorify, just like Kenny was saying, certain roles and responsibilities. Like our number one responsibility is make sure the family is taken care of. So that might be me working, on a Saturday, and it might be him popping a pizza in the oven and tossing the salad so we can have some dinner. So I'm just saying.
Many men, but I sense from a lot of men. Well, I'm Janelle, I have to say I have witnessed men who are great, wonderful men too, right? But then I get into these spaces on social media and I see lots of other types of men too. And I'm hearing that a lot of men don't want to share those types of duties. They want the woman to be what they call traditional, where they are the ones who are cooking and cleaning, and men are not necessarily trying to help, put the dishes away and fold laundry. Now there are men who do, right? But I don't know if it's accurate to say that that's what they want to do. I think they would call this woman a modern woman.
But it doesn't matter. You have to. Do you all like washing dishes?
Sometimes it's therapeutic.
I like
sometimes. No, right?
No, I don't. I don't.
Exactly.
I do it, but I don't like to do it.
You want to do it or not? If you have to contribute to the household. Miss Jobo, but
Janelle, the problem is that they don't see it as their responsibility.
Exactly.
Is what I'm saying.
And that's why we're having these conversations. You have to see it as your responsibility to contribute to this household, period.
But that's what I'm saying. I think therein lies the disconnect or the whole topic of we saying like men was like that's not attractive to have a successful woman. That's when that comes into play.
Some men don't count, y'all. Don't count. The real men are not on social media. Let's just be honest.
That's true.
Real men don't have Facebook pages.
No,
they don't participate.
They have them, but they don't.
But that doesn't mean they don't still buy into the same rhetoric.
Yeah, that's kind of the
much love to those men. But there are men who think mopping every Saturday is contributing their half of the household. mopping once a week is not half of the household, but we give them, he tried, and we give them a lot of leeway. But it's come on now.
I really like that you pointed that out, Raven, and because what you brought up too, Janelle, where you said, "Isn't it getting better?" Which it is.
That's why
I literally just saw an article the other day that I love that was pointing out how men now, like even when they're doing like the like basic stuff that mothers do and juggle like every day, all day, like if they just take their kids to the store, everybody's like, "Oh my God, look at this dad! He has his baby!" Like they out there like, no, he's just taking care of his kid. Just like I'm taking, and I guess that's what I'm saying. I think that's where a lot of the resentment is coming in at, because one of the main things that I feel that I hear a lot of men tying their ego to, tying their worth to, right, and tying who they are as men to, are their ability to be providers, right? Like that's what they say makes them earn respect. That's why you have to shut up when they talk, because they are the providers, right? They coming in, they bringing in all the stuff, so you need to bow down to them. You need to, you know what I mean? Like, because they're providing for you. They're creating this lifestyle for you, right? Like that's how they feel. That's what makes them men. So what's interesting to me is on the flip side, when the woman, like I say, is either out earning or making just as much as you, then how do you continue to have that mindset? You see what I'm saying? Why doesn't she get respect? Why does she get resented for being successful while you get respect for being successful? Why does she get resented because she's providing for the household, but you get respect and you get the big piece of chicken, and we got to leave daddy over there in the quiet, don't mess with daddy, let him watch his shows because daddy been working hard all day. Don't nobody do that for mama. Mama go work hard all day and all that. She still got to come in the house. The kids gonna jump on her, and like that's what I mean. Like it's not equal. Like it's just, we have to change that mindset. Like
I
we
hear
really
what
do.
you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but then Hannah, I think the pushback from men would be, well, you guys asked for this. You asked for equality. You asked to work.
But it's still not equality.
I'm trying to understand
that does not mean, okay, I want to go out and work, but then I'm still going to carry the bulk of the labor in the house. That's not what that means.
When as far as I know, black women were working right along with black men through slavery all the way up to now. All this black women fought for equality. As far as I did my research to find out, all black women got equality on was being able to open a bank account. And that was in 1975. They need to hang that trope up. We have been working just like they've been working. Exactly. All this.
Yeah.
We should have the luxury. No. Mm-mm.
What's up, ladies?
Hey.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Thank you. How y'all doing?
Great.
Y'all doing a great job.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add a couple of things actually. So I wanted to break it down. I saw some men talking the other day online about how the women responsibility is like 80-20 the woman's way. They do 80% of the work and the men do 20% of the work. And so as things is getting better, if you look at it just the numbers wise, right? Let's say if we're supposed to be sharing the responsibility 50-50, and if the women are doing 80% of the work and the men have been doing 20% of the work, and then the man steps up and starts taking the kid to school or cooking or something. So let's just say that's like another 10%. So now he's doing 30% of the work and you're still doing 70% of the work. So although things are getting better, it's still unequal. And you're still going to be tired and more stressed out and having all these emotions that men don't like, oh, she's always nagging, she's always stressful, she's always tired. So it is getting better, but just because you threw me a bone doesn't mean you just took a load off my back. Once men start realizing that we have to meet you 50-50, and that way we will have some things to gripe about when things aren't going our way. But as long as y'all doing the bulk of the work, we shouldn't be saying nothing. And I think a lot of men don't realize y'all doing a bulk of the work because they never done the work that y'all are doing to even say like, oh, she having a hard time. So it wasn't until I started doing all that work to say, oh man, raising the kid, cooking and cleaning, picking up my daughter from school, going to doctor appointments, going to teacher meetings, that's a lot of work. And a lot of men don't do it. So of course they go think that you're not doing anything because they don't know. And until they start doing it, until women start holding them accountable and actually making them do it or pressuring them to do it, or however they need to get them to do it, they will never know. So they're going to keep saying these things like, "Oh, things are getting better," or all she do is complain. This is not complaining. This is real life. This is what you need to do. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say, though.
Thank you.
That's why I started asking, do you do baseboards? I don't care if you mop. Do you do baseboards? If you don't do baseboards, you don't clean.
Yeah, I don't do baseboards.
Yeah, but we gonna go ahead and hop off,
for.
y'all, though. But thank you for letting us hop on.
Yeah.
We're gonna get back to it. But y'all doing a good job.
Y'all have fun.
Happy anniversary.
Good conversation. We gonna keep listening in, though.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
No,
we really do.
I wanted to point out one more thing,
Go
Ashley.
ahead.
The funny part is, my great grandma, who I talk about a lot, my big mama, God rest her soul, lived to be 106 years old, was the traditional wife. She worked as a laborer, a maid. She was working right alongside her husband till he passed away. And I think my great granddad passed away 5-6 years before I was born. I think she said 75. It's funny how these guys get on the internet and they talk about how we need to be like Big Mama and them. But my great grandmother was the one that pushed all of us to further our education, to get out of the house, go to college, see the world, but also get education, but also be open to knowledge and wisdom about life, and she would be the first person to tell you, you can do all of that and still have the man of, your choice. You can still be married and have children. And I just wanted to point it out because one of their arguments is y'all need to go back to being like grandmama and auntie and them. And my great grandmother, she'll say in a heartbeat, if I had the opportunity and choices that y'all had, I would have took them, but I didn't have those. Exactly. So that's why they pushed us. So this whole argument about how old school versus new school as well, I think we have to look at that too, because that's an argument that they use. And we need to debunk that, because if you ask any elderly woman in your family,
yep,
they're going to be pro-education, pro-success. They're not going to tell you to minimize yourself. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
I think that speaks to exactly what Cannon was just talking about with emotional labor, because not just the movie Soul Food, but a lot of families talk about when Big Mom passes, the whole family shoots the shit. That is not because we lost an income. That's because we lost an emotional pillar in our family. So we can say all day, oh, well, I bring in the paycheck, so that's 50-50. There is a whole nother realm that holds family together more than just a paycheck. And instead of acknowledging that and creating a space for women to be big mama, women, I know it's gender roles, but I've met a lot of women. Women want to be nurturing for the most part. We want to love and, cater to people. But if we don't have an environment to do that, and we have to be the go-getters and, chopping trees down at the same time, it's impossible. But no, I just like what you said about Big Mom, because I think that's a part of emotional labor that just gets bypassed all the time.
Mm-hmm. And who want to nurture after you done chop trees? I'm just saying, who want to nurture?
That's my point. I'm exhausted. That she could. She was tired too.
Yeah.
Interesting, you all. Go ahead, Janelle. You want to close us out?
No, you said that your great grandmother was traditional, but I thought traditional marriage was the woman stays at home and the husband goes to work.
That's white traditional. Black traditional. Yeah, and it's the difference. See, black traditional, because that's the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm from Georgia. Okay, not Georgia, but Georgia, South Georgia. Okay. I don't know. We had women in the factories alongside the men. We still do. At community where I was raised, the women in the classroom, but there are just as many as men. I've always seen men and women work side by side. But then when it came to traditional gender roles, when my aunt got off of work, she don't work that 12 hours at the factory. She still had to go home and cook. She still had to go home and feed the kids.
So why would we want to sign up for that?
Ask the guys that perpetuate that. Exactly. Because the women in my family, they like, look, go to school, get you a great job, find you a partner in life, okay? Climb higher than what we climb. Because see, for a lot of them too, when you talk about the Black community, maintaining a husband and a children for a length of time, that was a goal within itself.
Absolutely.
Because you had these broken homes that they don't want to talk about that did happen back in the day. Okay. The Temptations wrote a song about it. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever
Yes.
he laid his hat was his home. Where
And
it
if you
came
read
from?
a lot of novels, if you read
Yeah.
novels written during those times, it happened. And men, you know, and I'm not trying to bash the brothers, because there are some
Right.
wonderful fathers, right?
Mhm.
And now the men who weren't raised with their fathers are becoming great fathers, right? But there was a period of time for various reasons where, you
Mhm.
know, men were not in the homes, and it happened in the 20s, the 30s, the
Yep.
40s. You know, I was fortunate to have my grandfather, and I didn't know my great grandfather, but I've heard many things about him. And, you know, but it's just real. And I think that people, you know, when we talk about tradition, you know, there's a myth of tradition versus what it really was. And I'm happy that you brought that up,
Mhm.
Jobo, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of men in these spaces think traditional is a woman staying home, cooking, cleaning, washing laundry, you know, taking care of the
That wasn't our
home,
tradition.
when that
Right.
wasn't tradition.
Okay.
And another
With
thing that they
June
think is
Cleaver versus
tradition.
Florida Evans, two different women. Florida had to go to work.
I feel like I
Florida went to work.
well, I grew up in a household where, you know, my parents, I've said this before, my parents had us when they were in high school. So we grew up in a household where my grandmother didn't work. My grandfather took care of all 12 of us in the same house. He took care of all of us on his paycheck. So when people say traditional life or traditional wife, this was something I grew up seeing, where my grandmother cooked for us. She was there for everybody to get home from school. It was just, you know, a big, like Kenan said before, an extended family. It was a big village kind of set up. It was like literally 12 of us in a 5-bedroom house. We
Right.
were, you know, but this was the setup, you know, the men worked, the women did not, you know. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
and that's
I
how
just
it was in my home too. My mom didn't work. She, you know, until you know, she didn't work. Her husband, my grandfather. It's so weird to say this. I was raised by my grandmother, but I call her my mother. So she, you know, so she didn't work, right? And
Yeah.
so she was there. She was home to be that nurturing mom. Like, she knew everything that was going on with us. We had 3-course meals and, like,
Right.
you know, and so I think that's what people think when they think tradition. But the
Yep.
truth of the matter is that that's everybody grandmama
That's
did that.
unique.
Yeah.
And see, my whole neighborhood was like that. Like, it was my whole neighborhood that I grew up on up until I was like 13, and we ended up moving to Tennessee. Everybody kind of had the same setup. It was the men would pull off to go to work. The women would be walking up and down the street being nosy, planning fish fries, all these things, you know, the emotional labor. But the men got home from work, and it was like clockwork. The street lights came on, all the kids ran into the house, we all ate dinner, but we knew the women had cooked it, the men got home from work, and it was the same setup. So it wasn't honestly until I got off to Memphis and I found out that this was not the reality that
Yeah.
everybody was
It's
living.
not.
Oh my
It's
God.
not.
Changed my
I
whole
tell
life.
people all the time, I had to learn how to be a wife. I had to learn. I was married for a long time, and now, like,
This was
I'm learning
training
how to be a wife. Like,
Let me tell you, growing up in my household, my mama
yeah,
gave me a pair of strappy sandals at 15 and was like, you need to clean the whole house because that way you can figure out how to keep your house clean and walk around in heels. After cleaning that whole, when I tell you, I was scrubbing toilets in little sandals, but I learned how to walk in heels. No, no, no. The kicker is at the end, she was like, all right, now strut the hallway and pretend your feet don't hurt. What? When I say I learned that weekend how to walk in heels and how to keep a clean house, it was crazy. But I thought that's how everybody grew up. Lord, I went to Memphis. They gave me a culture shock. They didn't play with me. Woo, they didn't play with me.
All right, y'all. So that was a good conversation. As usual, there are many layers and different nuances, and I feel
Mhm.
like, you know, we couldn't wrap it up and put a nice little bow on it. But, you know, sometimes it's just how conversations are. And hopefully somebody said something that stuck with someone else, or, you know, helped a little light bulb go off. Um, and made a difference, you know. But let's go ahead and move on. I want to say welcome to the ladies' room. For those of you who are just tuning in, we air every Tuesday night at 7:15. And we talk about everything pertaining women. We have real conversations with real women talking about real things. So come visit us in the ladies' room. All right. Our next conversation.
Earlier.
This is our next one. It is online dating hurting the chances of women finding love. Who wants to chime in? Who wants
I
to
have
chime in?
never online dated in my life,
So
y'all.
this is an interesting combo. So I was kind of wondering if I should have this conversation, but this is partly why I asked Janelle to come, because y'all married ladies. So Janelle, are you married?
I'm not married.
No, okay, I didn't think so. So you might be able to contribute. Have you, without, I hate to get too personal, but have you tried online dating?
When it was fun back in like the early 2000s when we were, in our 20s. But I would personally, and I know a lot of friends who have had really bad experiences with online dating, I wouldn't do it now. I think that just to get my age, I'm 38 years old. And I think that a lot of the men who are on those websites, it's one or two guys. It's either the crazy dude who deranged in the head, who you got that, and then you got guys who are only looking for women to have sex with. It's literally one of the two. And I can give you a million stories on just how these relationships are playing out. So I'm straight. And plenty of fish, stay away from POF. That is the worst place to find love.
I hear horror stories about that. Somebody actually told me they need to do a documentary about Plenty of Fish because it is horrible.
They will make so much money and put it on Netflix.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was on Plenty of Fish for a very, very short time, a long time ago. I think when it was probably new, and I got off because you just get all these, plenty of fish, and it's just too much. It's overwhelming. It's like, oh my God, it's just everybody on here. So it's just like, no, that's not a place you want to go to. And I agree, you definitely have to be careful. It's interesting though, because I actually do know people who are married to people that they met on dating sites. One of my closest friends from college is actually getting married next month, and she met this guy on Bumble.
Wow.
Another woman that I know, and a friend of a friend of mine is married to people that they met on dating sites. But I don't know if that's the norm. It's probably not the norm, right?
Well, how long did they correspond though? I think that's the thing. Like when you do online dating, like is it just okay, we meet and then we might text a little bit here and there, and then finally we meet in person, and then bam, the connection is made, and now it's how long are they actually? I would love to see like numbers on that. Like how long is the actual virtual, like the texting, versus the in-person interaction?
Yeah. Well, I know with my friend who's getting married next month, she actually made a connection with the guy years before they actually went out on their first date. But they weren't talking those 3 years though. They just reconnected, and they only dated for some months before he proposed. And then the two people that I know who are married, they dated like anyone else. I mean, they met online, but after that they talked and they dated. They
right.
For, a period of time. Is that what you were asking? Or were you asking?
Because I think that's the difference too. The correspondence, and are they meeting and then they're dating, out of that world? You know what I'm saying? Because I think where a lot of, and I've seen women and men do this, they'll correspond with somebody on these apps for like 90 plus days at a time. They all in love, like 3 months. And then it's like they meet up in person, or that person avoids meeting up with them. And then it's just like you hear, because I got, friends who are still in the dating scene, and they're like, Jovo, it was a nightmare. Let me tell you. Like I talked to this guy for X amount of days or months, and then we finally meet up and I find out he's married, or we finally meet up and I find out he lied about his age. Like
That's
this
silly.
horrible. I don't know. Like
Just
But
out
we
of
have to be
curiosity,
careful.
is Bumble free or is it like a
Bumble is
paid?
free. There's a free option. There's a free option to
oh, okay.
Okay, because
So
I
the
feel
free
like
is
you may come across serious guys if they are paying for
they're
it.
paying,
yeah.
right?
That's what
Right.
I was gonna say too. Yeah, that it matters that if it's because I mean I know somebody who met somebody from Christian mingle
Yeah.
and like they dated and they in a relationship or whatever, but like I don't know. I'm like Raven. Like the last time somebody said online dating, I think about Black Planet, and that was a whole mess.
I was gonna say Tag. Tag was the last time I online dated, and I don't even think that's a real website anymore. I was like 13. I don't even know.
But
So when we say online dating, is that just Hinge and Bumble and
There are so many. There are
Twitter,
so many. You know, you have the more, I guess, serious ones, you could say,
What?
where you
No, I'm asking like is Instagram considered like a dating spot? Because
oh
everybody's
no,
using
I
their
don't. I mean, of
Snapchat.
course, people meet that way, but it's not really considered like an online dating site now.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's where people go to like shoot their shot because they slide in the
People
DM.
do.
I don't
They,
know.
yeah, they do slide in your DM. They do that.
So when
But
you're picking pictures, what do you pick? Now I'm curious. So are you picking like no, now I'm sorry, now I'm invested. Are you picking like only face shots? Or are you giving like the whole pack? Like what do you
well, I think it's best. You know, I'm
Yes,
not an expert. I'm not an
I
expert.
don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I think that men, like, if you're a woman and you're thinking about being on a dating site, you know, men like to see full body shots because they want to know what your physique is like. And then, like that conversation we were having a while ago with Tony, Tony was talking about how the
yeah,
girls had all
the
these
angles and filters. Yeah,
head up top shots, and then
yeah.
there was
No, you
one
can get
girl who
all these
came
guys.
and she was a lot bigger than what she appeared. So you know, and I have a friend. This is the one getting married. She's like, she would make sure that she had different angles.
Okay.
You know, just do.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got on, because I didn't take a whole lot of pictures by myself. I did have a lot of like headshots, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, guys want to know, and they don't have to be naked, just full, dress how you normally dress, but just the full body shot so they can kind of see, you know.
You should
And
take
then
a
when I
picture.
think about it, I kind of like the same thing. Like if I'm looking at somebody's profile, I kind of want to see different shots too.
And I wanted to ask Janelle, like, Janelle, I just based on what you said earlier, you work in corporate America, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is in your opinion, is there a huge percentage of like kind of like what we were talking about in our last segment, women who are very successful, they've established like a professional life, they're winning at work. Do you think there's a large percentage of them that participate in online dating? And they're finding that is like the option based on like some of these attitudes and beliefs that men have about women who are successful. They're not really wanting to go out and meet people. They're kind of just using online dating to kind of,
Yeah, because they don't have time to go to bars and meet people. So it's just easier to meet them via an app. But those are the women who I know who are like having these really bad experiences.
So that's what I'm saying. So is online dating hurting the chances of women finding love? So if most people are not taking it seriously, and that seems to be the general consensus, I don't know for sure. I don't know the data. I didn't have time to go pull up the data, right? I don't know how many relationships end or end or lead to marriage. I don't know how many of those that do lead to marriage end up dissolving. I don't know the data, right? But I do hear from different people, men and women, young and old, that these are not the places where men and women should date. However, everybody doing it. A lot of people are doing it or have done it, and people are not. Some people do, but I'm hearing that men are not approaching women anymore.
See, this is what I was going to ask. Is there some kind of disconnect? Okay, so my family is very rambunctious. I am very outgoing because my family is very outgoing. So I've been in the supermarket and I've been with my aunts. And I've told her, oh, that guy is cute. And she will walk up to that man and say, my niece thinks you are so cute. And I am sitting there and I have to come up with some kind of game. And you know what? You really are. Let me get you whatever. I have to come up with something. So when people say online dating, now I'm wondering, why can't we just do this in person? I work better in face to face. I could do you better if I could rub your shoulder. Let me tell you.
I'm gonna tell you why, Raven, because you got kind of this new generation. They know how to text better than they know how to talk. Like, I'm not, and this is not, I know I sound like that old woman that's like, you kids, but I'm just saying, there's a huge percentage of people out there, they don't know how to be assertive. They don't have really good social cues. They don't know how to they don't know how to meet and greet. Like when I got to college, I was all about the whole, such and such having a mixer, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. That's how I met my husband. I went to a party. Like, people used to like to socialize.
Yeah.
And we can't say pandemic, because the pandemic only been going on for 2 years. So it's like, I think online dating came about because of the convenience of it all. And like what Janelle was saying, you have a percentage of people who they work long hours, they have a lot going on professionally in their life, or you have women who, maybe single with kids, they had basketball practice, baseball practice, karate, whatever. And it's like, it's better to just get out my phone and be like, okay, swipe right, swipe left.
I know for me,
it sounds like a market, like a meat market.
I know for me,
tube steak.
I know for me, I started online dating because I wasn't meeting a lot of people, for a few reasons. One, I worked all day and I had grad school at night. And then even after grad school, it was difficult because I work in a field that's dominated by women. And so, and I was spending a lot of time at church. And what do you see at church? You see a bunch of women at church, especially in the church where I was,
Right.
So I saw online dating as an opportunity for me to meet people. But I'm just kind of like, I think because so many people are using it, that maybe it's not that helpful. I don't know. And then it is, I don't know. What do you all think?
We need to go old school. We need to fry up some chicken and some fish.
Yeah.
Throw out some cards.
Yeah.
Get some cards, get a game night going. And just, invite some of your guys. I invite some of my girls. And then you just kind of see what happened now. Now that could work. That could be good. And then that could be.
Do you think that Black people, we kind of fail at playing matchmaker? Because when I talk to my white coworkers, they always introducing, their friends to each other. And you always ask them, well, how did you meet your wife? Oh, I met them through a friend. And Black people, we don't do a good job of that. And
I know I'd be
scared as a community.
I'd be scared to introduce my people to each other. I'd be like,
why? He just took the words out my mouth.
I ain't put my name on that. Nah.
I met my husband. It wasn't like that. We just went to a party. He was there, and actually, we always joke, but I approached him. I was like, I like him big and tall. Come here now, and.
I think that's a good. Go ahead, darling.
No, I was just thinking, like, what it says is it hurting the chances of women finding love? I'm like, before online dating, was y'all finding love then? Was it easy to find love without online dating?
See, that's what I said. I don't know. I don't online date. Right. Online dating was
I think in this transitional period where this online stuff is just starting to boom over the past 20 years, stuff like that, I think it's good for the people that's into it, and I think it's not good for the people that's not into it. I think the people that's our age and older, I don't think that's for us. We're more social. We're more in your face. We know how to talk. We know how to communicate. I think this younger version, I think they cool with it. You know what I'm saying? I think we looking at it like, and we seeing all the bad stories and the unsuccessful people that's in our age bracket that's doing it, and they not having no success. So of course we're gonna look at it like, oh, this ain't good, because this is just not our thing. You know, but these younger people, you know, I don't think they have emotions anyway. So whether they looking for love or just, you know, I think they just out there.
Well, I think it's important to I always just keep going back to this. Like, we have to look at the shifts in culture and society and lined up with technology.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is that we live in a microwave culture. Like,
We do.
everything is quick. It's so much access to so many things that we've never had as humans in the history of since we've been here. Like, you can just like even look at the way the dating apps work. Like, you can just swipe and just meet somebody, you know, a few minutes later, because you can hop in the car and take an Uber or, you know, like whatever. Like, and I'm just saying, think about before when people used to live on farms and the next farm was like a town over, you know what I mean? And so it's like you really stuck more with the people that you were around and the person you was with, because you just didn't have access like that. It wasn't easy to just be like, let me go do XYZ. But now it's so easy. You got so much access. It's just like next thing, on to the next thing.
And another thing, I told my wife this. I said if my career path was the NBA and I was a superstar and I got $100 million and I'm on TV, I told her we would not got married, because I would have wanted to live like a superstar, meaning I would have wanted to date supermodels for a minute, do all the things that comes with that lifestyle, right? So I wouldn't have wanted to be married, and I wouldn't have wanted to do that to her, right? So it's just like online dating. You can be in whoever you want online. So
you can.
Everybody is superstars. So if I got access to millions of women and 100,000 of them is giving me action, I'm going to feel like a superstar. So that means I'm not really taking love serious when I can like do whatever I want, and love can wait. You know what I'm saying? Like I can bone 100 women right now. I still can find love on the back end of that, right? So I don't think online is a good place to be looking for love anyways, because it's going to make you feel a certain way. Like, I mean, you're going to have hundreds of women. Yeah, you find you this and that, because you have that at your disposal. But when you go to a club and it's only like 30 women in the club, one of them might like you. You know what I'm saying? So, and none of them might not like you. So, and I think a lot of guys that's our age, I think that's why they have a lot of resentment, right? Because we used to go into the club and they used to getting shot down by this one woman that they wanted. So now they have this bitterness in the like, oh, these women out here, they stuck up, this and that. Nah, that's because, you know, I mean, the pool was kind of small and you written out all that, but you know, now you have to go to the manosphere people and get your woman that way by shaming them and degrading them, making them have low self-esteem, and then hoping that 2 or 3 women come along
and then say, I want you.
Your ass. You know? So
Nina says, do you think people hiding behind screens is making women more masculine and men more feminine? What do you all think about that?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Okay. Sure. Whatever.
Because they just put masculine
and feminine whenever they want to. That question made zero. Not gonna say it didn't make any sense. Every question is a good question. Sorry, let me put on my educator hat. Every question is a good question. However, that question didn't really have any substance to it, because masculine and feminine are very subjective. Masculine and feminine in America is entirely different from masculine and feminine in China. So to ask, oh, well, is that making get what you really want to say out?
I think it's what you think, because if a woman types something, I can assume that she had typed it in a masculine way or a feminine way. Like, because you're going to only assume that she's talking the way that you have talked with women, right? Like, when a woman say, shut up. If you type shut up to somebody, they be like, man, shut up. Like you stupid. You know what I'm saying? Or like, girl, shut up. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on how you normally talk on a regular basis. How you want to put that on them. So,
but that still goes back to what I'm saying about, you see how deeply ingrained these ideas of masculinity and femininity is, because I think
how they shape our perception.
Yes, like I even think within that question, and Darwin can attest to this a lot of times. When he's having conversation online, a lot of people will be like, why are you even talking? Like, why you keep going back and forth with me, or why you keep saying whatever? That's feminine. You're like a female. And then it's the same thing for a woman. Like, if a woman is going, they're like, oh, you're masculine. It's like, what? So conversation now or having dialogue back and forth is now masculine. Yeah. If a woman does it, it's masculine, because she's supposed to shut up and just let the man whatever. And then if the man does it, he's being feminine because he's also supposed to shut up because he's not supposed to express himself. So
Right.
like he's like now you're acting like a female. All of this expressing yourself, like
it's really just indicative of the fact that people are not learning at young ages how to communicate.
They not.
Every day as an educator, you know, it's saddening, it's scary. You know, you have to learn how to be assertive and sharing what you think,
right,
and how you feel, but also being able to listen and being able to agree to disagree. People don't know how to do that. And there's just so many communication skills that people are lacking. And I think it just comes down to that. And and a lot of times people don't like to hear the truth. A lot of times people don't like to hear anything that shapes their idea of reality or their perception of reality. So then they'll shut you down. Oh, you being feminine because you're man and you're saying this, or you're masculine. You know, you're masculine because you are voicing an opinion. You know,
and I think that's why the world is so sensitive now, right? Because it is technology, and because people are not used to really getting the emotional responses from people when they're talking. So
that's a good point.
Like when we're talking right now, and there's still no energy that can match us talking in person, right? Yeah. So and a lot of kids growing up, they're not getting that. They're not getting that because if you just touch somebody, you can feel their energy and you can feel how strong this person is. Like one of my favorite movies, Batman, and the guy was talking to Vane crazy, and he said, I run this, I control this, and Vane just touched him, and he just said, you know, like how big do you feel now? You know, just by touching them, like, and they're not getting that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's a lot of all this. You can't talk to your kid this way, and no more 3-a-day football practices. All these soft kids growing up because it's just getting too soft now. Like kids are now used to.
That's a good turn. I was not prepared for it.
I mean, it's just overall with the whole culture is softer now. Like everything is just soft.
And you know, we live now where people they avoid emotion. Like you know, they avoid emotion.
And online dating is a great way to avoid that. And to not humiliate yourself, or you can have this sense of confidence without getting a rejection. A no is just a simple click. Like no, I don't even have to see her again in my life. I'll just block her. This and that. She can say no all she wants. My feelings can't get hurt on a screen like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But if she say no, we at the club and she says no to me, it's a different feeling. You know, it's a different feeling, like, because you there, like, and she gets to see your facial expression. She gets to see how salty you are. You know, you can't hide that. You know, like,
and everybody else sees it too.
Right. She got to see you walk off with disappointment. You know, like.
Right. And look, we make a good point, because if the kids had to deal with what we had to deal with, like, you know, to speak to what Cannon said about living in a smaller town, like the mall, if you want to call it that, was like 30 minutes from my house. So you on the phone with somebody, you know, part of the summer, and then you like, well, I'm gonna be at the mall, blah 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 blah. Let's meet up then. And then you get there and you like. And I'm like, Darwin, can these kids really deal with that level of, oh my God, my mind is blown because this is not who I was talking to on the phone? Can they really deal with it?
You know, like Friday, he gonna cry when he in the car. You want to see that walk of shame. You know, they got to get the walk of shame. They got to get the salty stares, like, and then you know how y'all women are extra, so men don't want to see y'all. You know, excuse me, I'm drinking. Don't you see me talking to my girls right now? You go buy all of us drinks? Okay, I didn't think so. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going in on you real, because they got an audience too. You got
I just had a flashback.
You out at the club, the girls have an audience. They gonna show out. They about to show out. It's 6 of us. You got money for 6 drinks? You don't? I didn't think so. Bye.
Oh my God.
Don't do if you want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying?
That is not all the time.
The rejection is rough. In real life, it's rough.
All right. So Nina, and I was kind of thinking this is what she was getting at with that question about masculine and feminine. She's saying, okay, so she says more specifically, masculinity tends to be more assertive, aggressive, controlling the environment. She says femininity tends to be more receiving and yielding. Now, we talked about femininity and masculinity on this show before, so I don't want to rehash what I said, but I think that one thing might be relevant here, where she says femininity tends to be more receiving and yielding. Now, that depends on the person. You know, I think for a long time, women were expected to be the ones to be pursued, to be the prey. You know, men were supposed to be the hunters, right? And so I'm wondering if she's asking, okay, are those dynamics switching as a result of online dating?
I definitely get it now. The way you just hit home. I think more women are a little bit more aggressive online and assertive online than they are in public. And I think because they have a sense of confidence too. You know, women have insecurities about a lot of things too. Women don't like rejection a lot neither. So I think a woman would approach a guy online or jump in the DMs or swipe to the right or whatever how they do on those things more so than if they're at the club instead of walking up to a man. So I think
classic example. Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe. Check a box.
Right. So I think if that's what she's talking about, then I think it's more easy for a woman to be masculine or assertive online and get away with it than in person. Because if she try to and you know she might get called all types of I don't know, whores or whatever. You know what people call women that's kind of what people call women that's assertive and aggressive. Approaching a man is kind of like thirsty or whatever but I don't think so. I think that's just a woman who knows what she wants. So
see, and that's why I was going to say it's not about the internet, it's who you are. I didn't need the internet. If I like you and I like you for real, I'm gonna tell you I like you. I'm gonna touch you and let you know I like you. It ain't gonna be no confusion. All this.
Raven say I like you. I want
thank you. I'm gonna get you.
Gonna do this on the hard way.
Maybe they think we a fetish. You think you're gonna find out now. You know?
she probably left a whole bunch of niggas tied up.
I couldn't do online dating now. I'm too optimistic, you know, just because of what I do for a living. Like you walk in my office, I think it's hope for everybody. So it's like we gonna make it, and they could be the person that's like not doing the work, and I'm like, you know what? But we're gonna make it. You know, you just had a bump in the road. I can see me swiping left so many times and saying, I know that's a weird name, but I'm sure he's fine.
No. See, you're dating yourself. It's swipe right. Swipe right. If you swipe left, that means
I wouldn't make it.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't make it.
I wouldn't make it. Think online dating is scary for both parties because you have a lot of things. You know, with the guys, a lot of guys has been getting set up doing an online dating, right? And a lot of women, of course, it's scary for women when they meeting a guy, anyways, right? Especially by themselves. So it's a lot to that online dating stuff. There's a lot of creeps that get to go online and pretend to be this good guy, you know. So I mean, it's a whole unit to catch predators online, you know. So it's a lot going on with that. I wouldn't advise people to date online. It wouldn't be a thing that I would be like, go date online.
You know a couple who got married from meeting online.
I do too.
But they were grown. They were old.
Yeah, I know an exception, but I won't make.
I think age plays a part in it.
I know one.
I think age and maturity, and again how you bring yourself to the table. That has a lot to do with it. Because
some people do luck up. It's not just
not luck up.
You lucking up. You lucking up. That pool is too big to be thinking you got some type of strategy to be doing it. Like, I'm just going to date. Ain't no strategy when you date online. You know, it's too many people to pick through. You know, so
I also think that, like I said, it is kind of one of those things. I think you said earlier, Ms. Jovo, like I'm sounding old. I'm sounding get off my lawn-ish. We are, all of us. We like, because, it's just not our a lot of it is not really going to be within our understanding because it's not our experience. Like
No.
these kids are growing up with this technology, so
Right.
they're gonna view it a lot differently. And since we did it and we have the experience we did, we just gonna view it through a different lens. Just like the generations before us, before they always be like, these new generations, this and that. You know, like it's always like that. So it's like we're that now. We're like, oh my God, you guys are the worst. Like
right.
So
like even when my daughter plays like, you know, Minecraft and Roblox, because she's the only child, you know, that's how she meets up with her friends like during the week, because obviously we have a schedule we're keeping. So she'll be saying, oh, me and such built this house and we built this world. And I'm like, you what? When did you do this? And it's like, oh, you're talking about Roblox.
You know what online dating is good
You love a gamer. I am a gamer too. Tell her get on the Sims 4. Sorry.
You know who them online dating sites is good for?
Who that?
Them freaks.
Oh Lord.
Them freaky women. Yeah. It's true, because you got to think about it. It's giving women an outlet to be as sexy as they want and as freaky as they want, right? And the people that likes that is going to find them. So they don't have to go out
too now, and the men.
Right, they don't have to go out to no nightclub in a whore dress and get cornered by dudes or end up getting, you know, talked about. They can just go online, dress how they want, and the people who's into that will follow them, and then they get to choose. They get to narrow their little niche down. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a more success rate for them when they come out, when they can come out and do all of those things that they do.
But that's not really dating though. That's like business.
That's dating.
Yeah.
That's dating.
I definitely thought that was selling cat.
That sounds like a profession.
Well, it's like the oldest y'all want $100 lamb chops and stuff.
I wanted to ask Ashley and Janelle, I wanted to ask Ashley and Janelle, have they ever met anybody online that, you know, that they actually went out with, you know, a few dates?
That was potential.
And then like I don't know, I don't want to pry too much into your business, but like
I have.
You won't.
Did you
won't?
Oh,
Janelle,
she's on mute. Janelle, you on mute.
Yeah, when Black Planet was popping back in 2005 and 6 and 7.
Oh yeah.
But not now. I wouldn't meet anybody online right now. I wouldn't feel safe.
Right.
You gotta go to MySpace. I heard MySpace is really
good. I've met
MySpace.
cool people. I've met some cool people online. So, you know, I think that women also have to understand that you still have to use good old common sense and wisdom when you're online. You know, people always ask me, well, make sure you meet them in public. I'm like, even if I met a guy walking down the street, I'm still gonna meet him in public. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna just let down all my guards just because I met him online.
So do online dating? It's like if you knew the person like in high school and y'all just reconnected online, does that count or what?
No, I don't think that counts.
It's a complete stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
and so talk to the person. Like before I go out with anybody that I've met online, I have to hear their voice, because you be surprised. I can
it depends on how old you are. That they complete strangers. Because you met somebody in high school and now you thought that's 20 years. They complete strangers because you know it's like
but you have some history with that person.
I don't got.
You at least know that they are who they say they are.
Shit.
No, I mean, as far as like, the person that they say they are, you know that you know that it's not somebody using a profile from some Russian model and they some whole like little a whole nother gender, a whole nother everything. What I'm saying is, you know.
But if they look like a Russian model in high school and they got them pictures up and then you meet them, now they look like just a Russian. Then
but that's just like aesthetically, you don't want to see them. That's not somebody that you don't like. That you have no clue who that is, though. Is what I'm saying.
You don't know who that person is. They don't even look the same.
Wait, Darwin,
looks. Do you hear this? You don't know that person. They don't look the same. They're a different person now.
Wait. Was it Darwin or was it Tony who told a story about ghosting the girl at Walmart or something? Darwin, was that somebody you met online?
The Greyhound.
Was that somebody? Was that somebody you met online?
Well, no, it was a friend knew her. A friend was dating her friend, and we just had each other's number. But that's my first time seeing her, so it was kind of like the same thing.
This was
Yeah.
like way back in the day before like people was using all that technology and stuff.
All right,
Right.
I want to hear from some people, y'all. If you want to chime in on this topic, call 574-943-5971. We love to hear from you. Is online dating hurting the chances of women or men finding love? Go ahead.
I ain't gonna lie. The first time I online dated was when I was like 14, and I was on Tag. And it was
Tag.
no, for real. I'm telling you, this is why I don't do online dating. It was a little black boy supposed to be 15, named Jamal or something. It was an old white man on the phone. I was like, never again.
You was about to be a sex slave.
I was
Oh my God.
that was gonna happen. My mom was gonna wear me out from being on the phone with a grown man.
Oh my
He was gonna wear you out.
Oh Lord.
He about to get you.
That's why I'm always scared of online dating.
I'm gonna even go back further than I'm gonna even go back further than Black Planet. The little phone lines, the party lines.
Party line? Oh
Yeah. That
right.
they show like
God.
at 1:30 in the morning on BET before they play Uncut.
yeah.
This Jomo trying to watch Uncut. She
I
trying
met
to
this girl that had all these roaches off the party line.
Trying to see without the blurs.
Look, and people would get on these party lines, but I think just like what Ashley was saying, like you knew what the party line was for. I don't know nobody who got married to somebody off a party line. I don't know nobody.
I doubt it.
No.
I know some women that got swindled off a party line out of some thousands. But
oh Lord.
And then they used to say, "Hey, meet me in like this private room to talk and stuff." You have to go to the little private. Yeah.
Well, I
What was that? We was just on the phone with like groups of random strangers. I'm like, what the heck was that?
And they had roaches.
Well, what about, have y'all ever seen, and this may not be online dating, but I'm really into, on Netflix, Love is Blind and the whole dating from the pods.
I like the first season.
Yeah.
The first season was better. The first season was better. But I just wondered, like when Ashley said something about she has to hear their voice, is it the voice? Is it the screen, the intrigue?
But you can
like
FaceTime somebody now. So why
dating.
wouldn't you just FaceTime so you can actually see them?
Yeah, I'm different, and it's probably because of the party line that I realized that I don't know how many other people are this way. But for me, I think I don't like meeting people voice first, because I just a lot of times feel like you have this idea in your head of what you think that they look like, and no matter what this idea is, they're not gonna look like what you like. So like I feel like if you would have met them in person, then you probably could have even been a little bit more like even if they're not like unattractive or whatever. But I feel like when you've been talking to them for a while, you got this whole idea of what they look like. Then you see them, they're gonna look weird to you because they don't look like what you thought they look like.
Yeah, because women be trying to sound sexy on the phone.
And I've been realizing that more too, even with us wearing the mask. Because I do I work with people, right? And I do a lot of in person with people and stuff like that, and everybody have their mask on. I literally spend 3 weeks with people, right? And most of the time we all got our mask on. I promise you, every time somebody take their mask off, I be like they always just look. You know what I mean? It's like it's just
all right.
weird.
No, we have a caller. We got a caller online. All right. Hello. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Salute to the panel. My name is Rush.
You said Rice?
Rush.
Awesome, Rush. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Hey, Rush.
Yeah.
Salute to the panel. Yeah, man. Definitely the dating game is a lot different than what it was from the early 2000s.
Yeah. How so? How do you think so?
Because of social media. Social media have desensitized people from really actually meeting up and sticking with each other. Most people are socially awkward and they don't know how to hold a conversation.
Okay. Do you think that's more so from like I think you call Gen Z and is it Generation X? those generations, like the 25-year-olds and below, maybe even 27, 28 and below? Do you think it's those people or just everyone?
No, Gen Z. You right about Gen Z. You know what I mean? Because I'm an older head myself, and I was conditioned to approach women and do the whole call to coach and be socially effective when I'm conversing with a female. With Gen Z, they're not conditioned to do that. They're just used to conversing with women over the internet, the Instagram, the Facebooks, and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that our generation, the younger generations, have so many avenues to communicate outside of face-to-face interaction that their social skills are probably lacking a little bit. The ability to keep a conversation going is lacking. But we have to also remember it could also be because of their age. They're still developing, right? They're still growing up. So, but I wonder, I wonder 10, 20 years from now if it will be.
When I was a young man, I still had the ability to bag females. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm not gonna say because of a man's age that he does not hold a particular skill to bag a female. I mean, it's all on how you raise and how you condition to handle certain situations, especially when you're in a social environment.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Russ?
Russ, have you ever done online dating? Like, what's been your experience? You got to tell us the whole dirty truth, but
Yeah, of course. I mean, and dudes like me, we just headhunt just to smash them. That's it. Not more, not less.
Okay, so you.
Okay.
So
well, at least you're honest.
Right. You're honest. All right. So, what dating sites do you use?
Gotta go cancel all of those.
Use the Tenders and mostly Instagram.
Oh, okay. Okay. All righty. Well, thank you for being honest. Thanks for your input, Russ.
No doubt.
Stay tuned, okay?
Appreciate
And share our channel. And if you're not already a part of our group, go ahead and join our Facebook group. It's called the Ladies Room Group Chat. And we continue discussions in the group chat.
I wonder how conscious.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Russ. Bye-bye.
I wonder how conscious people are when they are online dating, and they specifically online to date. And do they ever think that the content that they put out on their page or whatever, on their site, is going to make people look at them a certain way? Because
no, people don't think
right, and I don't understand why they don't think that. Because if this is all a person has to go off of, like what you put on this site or what you put in your profile, then you would think you would put stuff that get the type of man or woman that you want. But I see a lot of women, specifically women, that like dresses half naked, lingerie, talking sexual, but then they want this type of guy that doesn't sexualize women, right? And I don't be understanding, like, all you putting out is sexual stuff, so you're going to attract these over hypersexual guys, right? So won't you stop putting out that type of stuff? But I think they just do it for the attention, because they know once they put some clothes on, they're not going to get 100K likes. They're going to get maybe 100. And I think they do it for the attention mostly first, and then they try to, pick and choose the guys that they want to talk to, because they always try to check the bum looking dude. Why you all in my inbox? Look at this dude. They be putting him on blast, right? Like, but you put your stuff on Facebook or whatever for everybody to see. Don't get mad because the dudes that you don't like came at you. You can't be like that. Like, if you want to narrow your choices down.
That's literally how everybody is. Nobody wants the ugly girl on their job. When the ugly girl is asking for a hug, what do the guys do? Oh, I ain't got no hug for you because you're not the girl I want. Stop acting like only women do this. Men choose who they want to give their time to as well. But I think it's interesting you brought up social media because social media is a form of income for people. So if she's posting an ass shot to get 100K likes because that pay her bills, she do need a man that's gonna understand this was gonna get her bills paid, or he gonna have to. I mean, I don't know if.
But I think that's different for like women who are like intentionally online trying to meet a man to have as a partner, you know, or a husband or whatever, a boyfriend, and you know.
Well, see, that's why I asked, was Instagram considered like?
Well, I think a lot of people just lack self-awareness in general. So I think a lot of stuff that we put on social media a lot of times exposes a lot more about us than we ever intend to.
Right, and I'm talking.
I would prefer people don't spread their business on social media than an ass shot. I'll be all right with seeing your ass, but I don't want to hear about your baby daddy.
And I'm talking specifically. I'm talking specifically social media because if a woman dresses like a whore on social media, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get talked to like a whore. But if you go outside in a skimpy dress,
how do you talk like,
it's other things that you can look at to decipher.
$40 or not?
Huh?
How do you talk to a whore?
No, I need to understand.
I'm trying to understand too because I thought we liked.
Why you just look down at me when you
I'm just using the word whore because y'all know exactly what I'm talking about when I say word whore. Y'all know y'all know the type of clothes that people
just say dressing provocatively.
Provocatively dressing, whatever. Yeah.
How do you speak
but wait a minute. If she's dressed in a certain way, she's inviting a certain type of attention, and usually that's sexual attention. So doesn't that make her a whore?
No. What?
Wait.
When you're online, right? When you see a profile picture and she's dressed in some lingerie, right?
Yeah.
What I'm going to think, or let me not say lingerie. I'm gonna say a short dress, titties out, cleavage showing, belly ring, all this. You can see a thong, see through stuff like that. That people would be like, oh, she's a whore. But if a person wore that like to a club, it's other things that you can see about this person that will make you be like, she's not a whore. She just likes to dress like that. She might walk the way she talks. Huh?
What's the difference? They would still perceive her as a whore even in the club.
Exactly.
No, but it's other things that she can do to not be perceived as a whore.
Also, what if she is a whore? Let her be a whore. Why you got to make her not be a whore? All these non-whore women out here, you want this whore to not be a whore. I'm not saying she's a whore or not a whore. What I'm saying is perception is reality. And how someone perceives you is how they're going to treat you, point blank. So if a group of people think you're a whore and they treat you like a whore because you dressed a certain way, that's your reality, point blank. I don't care whether you do it on purpose.
Those are the type of things that we're working on combating. That just because
I understand that.
But wait, why are we working on combating? If that's how she wants to dress, she has to expect that level of attention.
No, because that's the whole thing that excuses people's behavior. No. That is the whole thing that excuses people's behavior.
We will never get there, Cannon. You will never change somebody's perception of a woman dressing like that.
Yes, we do change. We have changed perceptions because back in the day,
I have not changed.
Not you. Back in the day, women were seen as grown ass men just because they had on a pair of jeans. Because women were expected to wear dresses. What I'm saying is, as a society,
we're supposed to perceive her as a Sunday school teacher. How am I supposed to perceive?
Hold on, pause. Hear what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that culturally, we do shift attitudes on what is seen as acceptable dress or what's seen as this way or meaning this thing or that thing. We do. And so the thing is that we are shifting those ideas that just because someone, not even just a woman, but just because someone is dressed this way or that way, we're gonna let our bias impact how we're able to then treat them and go about doing it by making assumptions about them.
That's all fine and dandy, but ain't no woman waiting 400 years to get that. We living in today, so how she needs to act today is what I just said.
And this is why I brought up Trayvon Martin.
To perception has changed the outcome of how people think. That's 100 years later. What you talking about?
Do I dress like a whore?
Yeah, but it's other. Didn't I say specifically online? It's other things that I see about you.
Do I dress like a whore online?
No,
I don't.
No. Well, I put some pictures up and people was like, "You let your wife wear that?" And this and that stuff like that. But
you know what? People got all types of perceptions and ideas based on what they what's in their viewing site every day, what they've been taught.
Right.
I had a guy tell me one time, because at the time I picked out my afro or whatever. And it was like, short and round and all of that. And he was like, "Oh, you got that kinky hair. So that means you don't mind sweating." And I'm like, "What the heck? That's what you mean?" And he like,
freak. He was just corny.
He like women with natural hair. He was like, "Y'all the freaks." And then you hear this thing, women who look like quote unquote nerds, or the church girls, or the PKs, or it's all rooted based on people's experiences and what they've been taught. That's what it is.
I remember when I was dating, before we got together, and I was dating women, and I was getting all these ratchet women and all these.
That ain't have nothing to do with what clothes they had.
Time out. I'm talking.
That was all about this, sir.
Perception. Right.
No.
I was getting all these women. I was having the hardest time getting a good woman. I was complaining. She was telling me like, it maybe it's something that you're doing that's attracting these type of women that you're getting, and maybe you need to change something about yourself. No. So this is the same thing. So if a woman is dressing like a whore and she's attracting all these type of men, why can't I say in return, maybe it's something she needs to change? The same thing you told me, right?
This was literally my point.
It's still the same.
The thing that I was pushing back on wasn't saying. Okay, let me be clear. We live in a society where there is bias. People do make assumptions, and there are things that you can do personally depending on what your goal is to try to combat certain biases depending on the environment you're in. I'm not saying that that's not true. That is accurate. What I was pushing back on is just being like, because you dress like a hoe and not because that's something that's subjective.
Well, no,
some people think just because you got your shoulders out, you just
saying
some people think because they saw your ankles.
I'm saying this for the woman that's constantly getting these women that's over sexualizing her and that's treating her like that. And if she wants to not deal with those type of men as much as she's getting to make her feel that way, then it's something she needs to do about herself and make sure.
I wasn't disagreeing with that part. I was just disagreeing with the dressing like a whole part.
And that was my whole point.
I mean, I just used the word.
We have a lot of perceptions, right? Like we have a lot of perceptions, and sometimes they're accurate and sometimes they aren't. And I think that people do have to check their biases and their perceptions, but at the same time, you can't control somebody. You can try to influence them, but you can't control somebody's perception and bias. You know what I mean? My question would be, what is there to gain? And I agree with you, Candy. You can't look at a woman and say she's a whore. Just like you can't look at a woman and say she's not a whore. She could be dressed head to toe and she might be a whore. You know what I mean? But it's like, what will we have to gain from making this distinction? Like,
what do you mean?
Like, why does it matter for us to tell people and help people understand that just because a woman is dressed a certain way,
because those are the types of dangerous things that validate a certain treatment of women based on that. Oh, she was dressed like this, so yeah, of course I grabbed her butt. Oh, she was doing this, so that's why. That's the only thing that I'm saying.
Okay. So
but that goes to what Janelle was saying when she said, "Oh, do people change the mindset of clothing?" And they do. When Trayvon Martin was murdered and the whole hoodie thing happened, everybody, "Oh, a hoodie doesn't mean you're a thug." All of a sudden, your uniform doesn't determine your personality anymore. But we've been sitting here hearing a miniskirt means you're a whore. So either your hoodie doesn't make you a thug, and my miniskirt doesn't make me a whore, or what we have on defines our character.
But that's what I really said. Like, is people conscious to what? All I want to do is bring awareness to, because a lot of women really don't be knowing.
I wasn't denying your advice.
No, what I'm saying is a lot of women and men don't even know that, what this conversation we having, they never had this conversation. So it's a lot of women that's like, they just treat me like this, or they just like, damn, I'm just striking out. Man, all these dudes want to do is have sex with me. And of course, yes, you can wear what you want to wear and this and that, but at some point, you have to make it. You either want to start dressing differently, or you want to keep on dressing the same way and dealing with that type of crowd. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think a lot of women are conscious of the fact that you do have choices too.
Well,
like,
yeah,
and the choices is minor that you have to make in order to find your ultimate happiness. Like, if you were looking for a husband, and you want a husband, if that's really what you want, right? You want a husband that respects you and this and that. I would think you would dress how you would want.
Or you could just be Kim Kardashian.
Or you could just be yourself. There are so many strippers that are married. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, you know,
but she can't dance.
Got a man.
Or you can be like, but
you still got to be mindful. That's more.
The thing is that I wasn't disagreeing with what Janelle said, what you said, Ashley, or Darwin's point that we like, because I am a chameleon. Okay, I know how to, you know, morph into whatever it is that I'm trying to project at that moment. That's why con artists exist, because we know people have biases. People have things that they just assume. So sometimes it's really easy to con people just because of it. Like, somebody put on a nice suit, wear their haircut a certain way, you know, so they finna go in a bank and speak a certain way, and people just gonna say like, oh, this is a businessman. Like, people just, that's how people are. So yeah, I totally agree. Like I say, but I was just saying we have to be careful about being like, oh, well, if you're dressed like a hoe, of course you could, because like I say, for one thing, so one person's idea of somebody being dressed like a hoe is subjective. So it's different. It's on a sliding scale. And then it's also been used ad nauseum to justify mistreatment of women. So that's
like
all I was saying. You have to
like
be careful. That's right. Exactly. So that's all I was saying. I wasn't disagreeing to say, oh, that's bad advice. You could just do whatever you want to do, and people are going to just treat you. No, that's not what I was saying.
You're going to be a hoe. You got to take the whole treatment too. But I mean, be prepared to be a hoe.
I'm specifically talking about the women like this. Out of 100 pictures, 95 of them you're half naked, and 5 of them you got clothes on. As opposed to when you're on Facebook, 95 of your pictures you got clothes on, and 5% you probably half naked.
You got to count. You got to count. It's a numbers game. You got.
And there's your whole it's not getting married either. Ain't nobody satisfied. I'm not satisfied either way.
Look, and you go. Titties out. So in your mind, you like, man, that you not gonna be like, oh, that's Delia. You gonna be like, man, that bitch with the big titties, that's who she gonna be.
But men are not rushing to marry women that are fully clothed in nunnery clothing.
They rushing to date them though.
No, but you got.
No, they're not. There are women that are fully covered and still unmarried.
Yeah, there are.
I know, but they're getting dates.
That means what? Your whole argument is marriage, not dates. That was your whole.
No, I don't care about no marriage. I'm talking about dating.
What? That was what you were just talking
about. Listen, Darwin. You know what got my husband a crop top? Okay, I'm just being honest with you. Something that I normally wouldn't wear, but you know, I'm away from home in college, and so yeah, because I was the girl in high school that got curved by dudes because I was too dark skinned. My nose was too big, and I wasn't wearing crop tops, and I wasn't dressed in a certain way, so nobody wanted to deal with me, you know. And then I go back to my class reunion, and they're like, "We don't remember you dating nobody," and I'm side-eyeing most of the dudes, like I wasn't putting out, and y'all didn't like me. So let's just
remember that men look for different things at different ages, and
they do
different points in their lives when they're younger, you know. And for one thing, you got to remember that just because you get attention doesn't mean that it's like a guy can like you. That doesn't mean he respects you. You know what I mean? Like he can like the way you look. That doesn't even mean he likes you, right? So like he could, and then like when guys are younger, you know, that little crop top, you know, is going to get their attention. They might want you as a girlfriend.
Because the girl in high school, the titties
older, and they're looking for a wife. They're going to be looking for most men, not all. A lot of men are going to be looking for a woman.
If you was in 8th grade with big titties, you was getting all. It didn't matter how you look.
Exactly. So, but now
you had titties in 8th grade. You was the shit.
Ashley, and that same man who was that boy who's looking for a wife is gonna be looking for
exactly. Ashley, I agree with you. He's gonna probably look for, or they claim, or so they say, you know, the more conservative wife because they don't want the competition from other men, and then they'll just cheat with the girl that has the crop top because she's a different girl.
You're the fun girl.
That's all it is. Yes, they'll exercise their options with the girl that had her titties out.
Exactly, because she's fun.
Nice
You know, the
girls,
wife is
they say
boring.
nice guys
She's
finish last.
boring.
Nice girls finish last too.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not even just dressing like a whore. Like, I like to dress however I want. So sometimes I wear my daddy leather jacket, and people will be like, "Oh, I bet you into crystals. Oh, I bet you a lesbian." I'm not either.
What type of leather jacket is this?
He rides motorcycles. And
Let's go get that leather jacket. Let me see this leather jacket.
No, but that's why. But that's why I was agreeing with all of you all. I just wanted to make the distinction because I mean I've had that experience too. Like I morph all the time my look, and I'm
Right.
aware of how differently I'm treated depending on what I look like. If I have my afro, if I have my natural hair, or whatever, people are more likely to want to discuss politics and talk about, you know, like soul.
Man, tell me about
like
it.
all of this
You
other
so
stuff.
deep.
If I
You
got
so
my,
deep.
you know, full blonde weave, then they want to talk about different stuff. It's just people are odd like that. So I just let them have it. But it's
right.
All right,
but like
y'all,
I say, it makes it easier to know. Like I say, to know what to give people to get what you need to get out of the situation too.
Amen.
People realize they're so easy. Like it's so easy. Like I could just portray this thing, and you just gonna use your kick in your bias. You're not actually paying attention.
You're gonna answer all the questions for yourself.
So I'm gonna give you what I want you to assume. It's very easy.
Yep.
All right, y'all. It's been good. It's been real. I love it. We had some good conversation. Thank you so much, Janelle, for stopping by to the ladies' room.
Yes, Janelle. Shout out to Janelle.
Hey.
Pop that brother.
He said, that's why we're gonna mute you.
What's wrong with him?
Lord.
Janelle, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him?
I'm not going there today.
All right, y'all. Everybody out there, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by the ladies' room. Don't forget, every Tuesday at 7:15 Central, we are here. Come visit us in the ladies' room. You got your girl Ashley, Mrs. Understanding, Mrs. Jovo, Cannon Hill, Darwin Hill, and we have a special guest today, Janelle. Hopefully she'll be back.
Thank you.
Yay. Y'all.
Thank you guys for having me. I had a great time.
See y'all.
Thank you.
Peace and love.